All right, we are moving on to Act 1, Scene 4. Let me just share my screen with you guys really quickly. We are going to meet another major character in this scene, and we'll talk about it. Well, let's see, we're right there anyway. So, the beginning of this scene is basically the beginning of the party. So, Romeo and Benvolio, remember, decided to go to the party, even though they are Montagues, and you might be wondering how they're going to get in. So this party actually is a masquerade. So that just means everybody in the party wears a mask. So they'll be able to sneak in because nobody will know who they are. There's also, if you notice up here, Romeo, Benvolio, and then Mercutio. Now, Mercutio is an interesting character because he hangs out with the Montagues all the time. He's always running around with Romeo and Benvolio, but he is actually, oh, hang on, there we go. He is actually royalty. So Mercutio, he is Romeo's best friend and a cousin of Prince Escalus. Okay, so Romeo's best friend, cousin of Prince Escalus, but he's always running around with these guys, and he is a little bit crazy, which we'll get into in just a second here. Let me add scene 4. All right, scene 4 begins. So imagine they're out on the street right now. It's right before a party, torchbearers. It's at night. There's a bunch of other people around. It says 5 or 6 other maskers or people wearing masks who would also be going to the party. And they're kind of really excited. They're all ramped up, except Romeo is still a little bit, he's a little bit down in the dumps. So he starts out, what? Shall this speech be spoke for our excuse, or shall we on without apology? So they're just kind of going to go back and forth for a little while here. They're just messing around before the party. Mercutio, who was always, he's a big party guy. He is trying to get Romeo to dance. We must have you dance. Romeo says, not I. Believe me, you have dancing shoes. I have a soul of lead. So stakes me to the ground. I cannot move. So Romeo is still being very dramatic. Whoa, hello. I apologize. Shut me back a couple pages. Sorry about that, guys. Okay. I think I figured out what I did wrong. Mercutio, so Romeo says, I have a soul of lead, I can't dance. Mercutio says, you're a lover, borrow Cupid's wings, so fly on the wings of love. Romeo says, no, I have been pierced with the shaft of love. So if you guys think about those little things of Cupid shooting people with arrows, Romeo says, I have been shot with an arrow of love, I can't move. Romeo and Mercutio go back and forth with this for a really long time. So they're this is some of the wordplay here. They're going back and forth. Basically, Mercutio is trying to convince him to enjoy himself at the party. And Romeo says, no, I'm too depressed. So Mercutio is trying to cheer Romeo up. And Romeo is still depressed. Okay. They're going back and forth, back and forth. And eventually, Romeo says, well, I'm depressed because I dreamed a dream one time. Let's see here. Let me double check that that's right here. 5 times would mean, well, I'm going to this mask. Why? May one ask. I dreamed a dream tonight. So Romeo has had a bad dream. Romeo is still depressed, and I'm going to put, oops, yeah, that's fine. Bad dream. And this is going to start a whole big thing, the fact that Romeo has had a bad dream. So Mercutio said, so did I. What was yours? Said Romeo, that dreamers often lie. So dreams are fake, says Mercutio. They don't matter for anything at all. Romeo says, yeah, they lie in bed asleep while they do dream things true. So he's kind of twisting the meaning of the word lie a little bit. And then Mercutio launches into what's called the Queen Mab speech, which, as you guys went through it, I'm sure was very long and confusing. Mercutio is talking about Queen Mab, who is this fairy queen who is supposed to be in charge of dreams. So he spends a lot of time describing her, what she's supposed to look like. Wagon spokes made of long spinner's legs or spider's legs. The cover of the wings of grasshoppers, so grasshopper's wings. She's this really small person. She travels around in a chariot, which is an empty hazelnut. Goes through this whole long thing about Queen Mab. As you can see, it keeps on going and going and going and going and going. And then eventually, I'm just going to drop it in here, Queen Mab's speech. And then eventually Romeo says, stop, peace, peace, Mercutio, peace. You're not talking about anything. So you're just making all this up. This doesn't matter. And Mercutio says, exactly. I'm not talking about anything because I'm talking about dreams. So once again, dreams don't matter. He's getting back to that and used this really long speech to make his point. So we learned something about Mercutio. He really likes to talk. He likes to party and he likes to talk. All right, Benvolio basically says, you guys are wasting so much time. By the time we get in there, dinner's going to be done and we're going to miss it. Benvolio, his mind is on the food. He has got his priorities in order. Romeo then really quickly talks about his dream he had, which was that of despised life closed in my breast by some vile forfeit of untimely death. He that hath the steerage of my course, whoops, direct my sail on, lusty gentlemen. So Romeo's dream was that he died young. He died out of time. But then he says, but the stars are in charge. Remember that star-crossed thing? Everybody believed that stars were in charge, but the stars are in charge. So I'm just going to surrender myself to that. So that's it. Let's go to the party. Forget it. Romeo decides to have a good time. All right, so I'm going to put in here. So we've got the Queen Mab speech, which the whole point of it is that dreams don't matter. And then you have Romeo coming out at the very end and talking about his dream. Woo, excuse me. Colorado air, man. All right, so Romeo's dream, which remember is that he dies young. And I want you guys to remember that because if you think about foreshadowing, they're starting to hint at what's going to happen later on. So Romeo's dream, the Queen Mab speech, and then they just decide at the very end of this that they're going to the party. They're going to enjoy themselves and have a good time. All right, that is it for Act 1, Scene 4. You guys are almost done with Act 1, so keep it up, and we'll see you during Scene 5.